¿Nunca has salido del barrio de fuego?
Lo siento, los elementos no se mezclan.
¡Hey!
Y mi papá te herviría vivo.
Nadie tiene por qué decirte qué puedes hacer con tu vida.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And nice to meet you too.
Well, first of all, congrats on the movie. It was so cool watching a deep story told by these lovable characters. So how did you come up with this idea of mixing this incredible world with these complex messages we saw through the film?
Great questions, Ivana. I mean, trying to merge all of that was really a crazy challenge, but it all started with three ingredients. When I was a kid, I looked at the table of elements at school, and all those blocks looked like apartments to me. And so that started forming a world that was like, oh, I can understand this. There's a lot of diverse cultures near where I grew up, and they were all trying to make a life. But I boiled it down to something more digestible, like the earth, air, water, fire world. And so that was that first ingredient that I had as a kid. But that wasn't really a story. That was just this idea. And then when after the last movie, I had this chance to go to New York with my family to this ceremony where I saw them and sitting in the audience with a lot of different cultures of people, and I thanked them for all the work they did to come from another country to give my brother and I a life. And that idea of thanking them started this whole project. When I came back to Pixar with that story, and when I told some friends, they said, hey, that's the next movie you have to do. And then from there, the third ingredient was just when I was drawing fire and water together, it reminded me of me falling in love with someone that wasn't of the same culture and all the craziness that came with that. But taking all of that and trying to tie it all together was quite a journey, for sure.
¿Qué fue lo que más te llamó la atención de este mundo en el que viven los personajes de Elementos?
Yo creo que está muy bien contada cómo son los elementos. Pero lo más padre es que tienen personalidad de lo que son cada elemento. O sea, el fuego se enoja, el agua llora, los otros los de tierra son terrenales completamente, muy estructurados, y el aire vuela. O sea, el aire puede decir un día estoy de malas y otro día estoy de bueno, porque finalmente es más voluble. Sí. Yo creo que está muy bien contada. Yo creo que aparte visualmente es linda. Imagínate un país así o una ciudad de elementos en el que el fuego no se puede acercar a nadie, porque como dice en la película, el fuego pues es muy difícil convivir con los demás elementos porque o los aviva o se lo apagan. Entonces creo que está muy bien contada. Mi personaje me encanta porque es como un toque amable o un toque mediador de los otros elementos.
Well, talking about the characters, with which character you identify the most and why?
Yeah, I've been joking about it, but I'm a crybaby, 100%, and so I'm for sure water.
Yeah, I'm a crybaby too, big time. But I also I do identify with Ember. I can be a little bit hot-headed on occasion.
Me encantó Fuego, porque soy un poco fuego también.
Yeah, it was so nice to get to know the personality of these characters. And I want to ask you, how was the process to find the perfect actors to play Ember and Wade?
Yeah, it was an interesting process. You listen to a lot of voices, but for me, I just had a couple ingredients that I needed. So one obviously was the performance that would support what the character needed, and then an elemental quality. With Leah Lewis, we found someone that had a tenderness and a fierceness in her performance, but then she also had a smoky voice that reminded us of fire. And with Wade, it was about Mamadou had this amazing way to showcase his emotions, both in a funny way and a serious way. But then he also had this very cool, go with the flow sort of voice that sort of supported the elemental side of it. But it was those set of ingredients that really found them.
We really fell in love with them. I mean, they're just really incredible actors. And, it's like now I can't even imagine anyone else playing them. They so became the characters. And yeah, they've just been, both of them are real joys.
Hablando un poco sobre este proceso de doblaje, ¿qué fue lo más divertido a la hora de hacerlo?
Es que fue muy chistoso porque yo no conocía al personaje, o sea, todo fue sorpresa. Entonces yo llego a la sala de doblaje y me dicen, te vamos a presentar quién eres. Y entonces me pasan los cortos con mi personaje y al principio yo decía, yo no sabía que iba a ser villana, porque al principio es muy enojona. Sí. Dije, bueno, no importa. Y entonces dije, no sé si me va a gustar, pero la vas a amar, me empiezan a decir. Pero la vas a amar y conforme fui haciendo el doblaje, terminas amándola, porque creo que tiene una nobleza maravillosa y puede ser muy divertida. Y yo creo que ese toque divertido lo fuimos dando poco a poco con el tono de la voz, porque es diferente actuar completo que hacer un doblaje. Y creo que terminó siendo un personaje entrañable, ya viendo la película completa, porque dicen, es que es una participación pequeña, y sí, pero tiene su toque y quieres que siga saliendo. No porque sea yo, pero dices, ¿ahora con qué va a salir esta, no?
Yeah, also through the movie, we see ordinary interactions between the characters, like the weird food that people of the fire eat, or how could people play sports. But it also makes sense. So was it difficult to get there, like thinking and having ideas of how these characters would live in their own world?
Yeah, it was probably one of the bigger challenges, Savannah. Like when we were working with the story teams, sometimes it'd be like, oh, this feels like such a cool idea, but there's nothing really elemental about it. Or there was a really cool elemental idea, but we couldn't connect to emotionally to a human experience. So it got boiled down to something that supported Ember's journey, but also tried to connect to the audience in a very human way. Even though they're not humans, we were trying to use the elements in that way to connect emotionally. But you know, it was a juggling act for sure, because you were trying one thing out, it didn't work. You try another thing out, it didn't work, and then something worked, and you put that in. It just over and over again, you were just taking things out until you felt something.
Yeah, it's so cool and sometimes even funny to see all of those details you put in Element City. So if you could go to this city, what would be the first thing you do?
I would cross that bridge. Ever since they designed and built that bridge, I've always wanted to go across that thing.
I really love, I know this is crazy, but I really love the Earth area. I don't know, I find it kind of textural, and it just, every time I see that part of the movie, it just, for some reason, I think it just looks visually beautiful. So like the City Hall area I think I'd go have a lunch there.
¿Con qué mensaje te quedarías de Elementos?
Yo creo que la película principal lucha por tus sueños y ama profundamente lo que quieres. Con respeto, ¿no? Nunca te des por vencido.
Como me gustan.
Te dije, le encantan.